All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is the last day of the week. It's Friday. It's not the last day of the month, though. All right, it's the last day of the week. It's Friday, September 26, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for following and subscribing to my content. Appreciate that. Thank you to all my members in the room. Thank you for paying for your subscriptions. I don't take that for granted. I try to provide actionable, profitable content day after day after day. And special shout out to those that share my content. Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted. Thank you for sharing the content, getting the good word out there so that other people can benefit as well. All right, let's take a peek at the market here and see what happened, how I made 55K on a 263K account. I bought the dip after observing the higher high. I was looking for the higher low to manifest. And if you were with me this morning, I even mapped it out where I suspected possible bounces would happen. And markets are still bullish. So let's go in there. Let's take a look at the where I suspected those to bounce. Let me see if I got it here somewhere. Let me look in my we've got the lesson. We've got, let's see what the lesson comes up with. All right, so here's price action. Okay, here's the high from yesterday. We made a higher high. So now I'm looking, okay, see price makes a higher high. So this is a lesson right now. Okay, price makes a higher high. So now I'm looking for price to make a low. Okay, so that's the question. What do I do now? Answer, I look for price to make a higher low. Okay, not a lower low, a higher low. And I look for the likely locations for it to manifest. Okay, so I got like 2 or 3 picked out here. You can see I got one right here. This would be minor support. So this is all the consolidation inside this green brick right here. Let me get the drawing tools out. Maybe we can help identify it in the pre-market here. This is long before the day even started. This was given to the room members, probably posted on social media as well. Let's take a peek at this. Let's move this down. Come on. Just move down. Okay. And let's get the box. Let's get the color green. All right, and we'll box this off. Okay, so here we got yesterday's bull flag. Okay, igniting candle up over to the right. Okay, bull flag left off with yesterday. All right, so all of this is the overnight consolidation and the pre-market consolidation. Now, if you look at this right here, this little box right here, I'll box it off for you. So this little box is B consolidation right there. Now we've got another that happens in the post market right here. Okay, see the post market? Now we've got, this is open market yesterday, post market, consolidation over prior consolidation. Hey, that's bullish. All right. And now in the pre-market in the morning, we got even more consolidation still up over yesterday's and over some of the post-market consolidation right there. Okay, so now we've got some pre-market consolidation developing over the post-market consolidation from yesterday. Hey, that's bullish. Anytime I see consolidation over prior consolidation, that's bullish. So my bias is bullish in the morning, all right? So we can spell that out. And hence, you can see at the very beginning of the day, not the very beginning of the day, but in the pre-market, you can see price start making higher lows and then rip up and take out the high and make a higher high right here in the pre-market this morning. All right, so I'm going to take all that off. All right, so you can get an idea what's coming next. Okay, so now we look, see this big candle right here, big green candle right off the support line. Okay, which also happens to be, okay, let's take a peek over here, happens to be the September low anchored VWAP. Okay, right there. So we bounce double bottom off the September low anchored VWAP. So where we would probably bounce to? Well, probably going to go up there and test the all-time high anchored VWAP, since that's where we descended to from. All right, so we're going to go check out that all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, let's get the photo back up there. And let's look at the price action. Okay, so we've got an igniting candle here. And then we've got some consolidation. And then we got what? Hey, what does this look like? This looks like exhaustion candle right there, signaling a possible end to this move up right here, from here up to there. So look for price to pull back, all right, and find support. So likely locations, we go through and we start mapping them out. Well, this would be minor support right here, right on top of this. Okay, and then we've got, of course, always, you've got gap fill. A lot of reversals happen off of gap fill. A lot of reversals happen at minor support. The other one would be the major support of this consolidation box. Remember the box we outlined before, the green box? Okay, so this is the green box. This would be the major. If we broke through all of that consolidation, we would have broken intraday or overnight major support right there, and price would have come all the way back down and visited the September low anchored VWAP. Okay, so these were the places we were looking for price to turn around. All right, so let's look at the price action this morning as we open up. Okay, take a peek at that. Now you can see, here we are, we have a pullback and then a rip. Okay, so we traded the igniting candle right there. See that? We traded the bounce right off the top of the minor support. Okay, see how price hits. This is what we like to see. I don't know if you've ever been to any of my webinars, but we like to see, I say this all the time, pulls back to minor support, that'd be the top of all the consolidation, and then rip and make a new high. Okay, that's exactly what happened right there. It's not a new all-time high, but a new higher high right there. Okay, so we made a higher high, then we had a pullback. Okay, again, remember those locations we outlined earlier. What were they? Well, gap fill, see the dotted dash line, that's where price closed yesterday. We were looking for price to come back. It did the gap fill. Okay, and we wanted it to bounce off of either gap fill or major support. So this would be the major support. This gold line, that would be the bottom of all of this consolidation in the post-market and the pre-market. And this is the dip that I bought. Okay, I'm looking at candles. These are 10, 15-minute candles. Let's look at 10-minute candles. Okay, so now I'm looking at these 10-minute candles. Well, there's a lot of tail there. There's a lot of tail there. If I compress this, there's a reversal happening there, and then there's a higher low. Yeah, so I'm buying the dip right here at the major support, okay, to come back up to VWAP. Here we make the higher low, then we produce a higher high. There's a high. We make a higher high, make another higher low, and we're looking to make a higher high, and we did right there. Now I'm looking for price into the close to get to find its way all the way up here to these highs. Let's see what happens. Maybe I got some trades I could take. We'll see what happens here. And let's see if I'm even close. Just want to see. There's probably no time left. Only a minute left. Yeah, it's not even close yet. All right, so there's price action right there. So that's what we traded today, was this dip right up here, and we traded it up to go up over all-time high anchored VWAP. Now, it's going to be very bullish, all right, if price can hold on top, not very bullish, but just bullish, if price can hold on top of all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, that would be important. All right, so here's all-time high anchored VWAP made on the 23rd. Here's price closing the day, okay, near the high of the day, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's a nice tell coming into tomorrow, coming into next week. All right. The other tell I want. All right. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me? The microphone. Yeah. Okay. So that's a big tell right there. Okay. The other big tell is at Monday on the close. All right, not today because there's a lot of volatility priced into the options. But on Monday at the close, we need to see buyers step in at the close and snatch up whatever's low, all the low-hanging fruit, okay? We need to see them. We need to see a blast of money coming in at the close on Monday because that's the beginning of the new week. Remember, you get all kinds of volatility priced into the options today. So they're not going to buy today, okay? They're going to shop today, and they'll pick out what they want to buy, but they'll be looking for it when it goes on sale after all the volatility has been priced out of it, okay? On Monday, we'll look at the end of the day to see price if the buyers come in and push up price higher on Monday evening, right around, I don't know, 3:45 into the close. That's what I'm going to be watching. I want to see some confirmation on Monday evening at 3:45 into the close of buyers stepping in and snatching up all the low-hanging fruit, and I want to see an injection of money coming back into the markets. If I don't see that, because we did not get that yesterday, and I'm not seeing that right here today, and for good reason because it's Friday. There's a lot of they're overpriced. All right, price that the options are kind of overpriced right here. So wait till tomorrow, Monday, and that will be the tell. We're going to look on Monday into the close to see if their buyers step in and inject more money because that will be the beginning of the week. All right. That's when you want to see that capital injection at the beginning of the week, all right? Not on Friday because there's too much premium. That was the word I was looking for. There's too much premium priced in on Fridays, okay? So we want to look on Monday when all that premium has gone away and to see if they push more capital into the market. That's what we're looking for. All right, so price action, we had a 10-minute uptrend. It was called out in the room. I think I listed it up there earlier. 10-minute uptrend, okay, coming in right here. And then we had it, came up over VWAP. Nice 10-minute uptrend right through there. Looked like you got a pinch there. But I flip back and forth between the 10 and the 15. All right, if the 15 is still active, I hang in there. So we got a nice 10-minute uptrend that held into a nice bull flag. Kind of the same thing that we did yesterday. Okay, only this one looks a little bigger and better. Okay, bull flag right in there. And consolidating and hanging out right on top of the all-time high anchored VWAP. So nice move for the bulls today. Okay, I want to see Monday is going to be the tell. If I can see that capital injection, if they can remain and keep price over that all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, I want to see. That's what I want to see. I want to see them maintain price structure up over that all-time high anchored VWAP, which is this upper purple line up there, okay? So we had a nice rip in the morning, traded the pullback down to gap fill. I mean, we nailed it. I mean, we really nailed it. Rip in the morning, back to gap fill, and then back up to VWAP, and hopefully to all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so we traded the whole thing today, and it was a beautiful day. Okay, you can see the results right there. It was a beautiful day. All right, that's all I'm going to say right there. So there was SPY. Okay, so into the close, what do we got on the 10-minute chart? We really got consolidation. It's like a week, 2-candle uptrend, but all in all, on the 10-minute chart, this is, I'm just going to call it bullish consolidation. Why? Because it's in a bull flag up there at the top over the all-time high anchored VWAP. So bullish consolidation into the close. So on Monday, when we open up on Monday, I want to be looking for a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend, all right, because we're consolidating. Okay, so I want to see a continuation on Monday. All right, so on the 2-hour, let's take a look at the 2-hour. I'm curious what that looks like. And let me look at it on a different chart. On this chart, we have an uptrend. Okay, we've killed off the downtrend and we have an uptrend. I want to see it on one other chart here. Okay, so on the 2-hour, let's see what we got. On the 2-hour, we have an uptrend on the 2-hour. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. So 2 hours in an uptrend. So, hey, everybody, my favorite trade, all right? My favorite trade, just so you know, we didn't have it today, okay? But my favorite trade is, okay, it's the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that resides inside the 2-hour uptrend, that resides inside the daily uptrend, inside the weekly uptrend, inside the monthly uptrend. Hey, that's my favorite. I got all the bigger time frames supporting and pushing my little 10-minute uptrend higher and making it last longer. Okay? Sounds like an ED commercials. Anyways, price action, all right? Moving up here. Nice 2-hour uptrend. Let's take a look at the daily chart. And we'll pull it up right here on the scratch. Okay, I got to remove a lot of stuff here. Okay, because I didn't want all that on there. All right, let's take this off, and this off, and this off. Okay, so price action up here. Top of quadrant 4. All right, top of quadrant 4 is bullish, still in an uptrend right there. See that? Bullish, still in an uptrend. Okay, see the green dots? Weekly chart, all right? See the green dots? Bullish, still in an uptrend. Monthly chart, see all the green dots? Bullish and still in an uptrend right there, all right? So there's SPY, all right? So that's what I like. I like that 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, all right? And I like it when it's inside all those bigger time frames when they're all in uptrends. Now, let me just say this. You know, maybe 6 months, 9 months from now, you're going to have one of these probably going to be in a downtrend. Okay, so this is opportunity every time you can find this happening, and it's even better and more powerful. Okay, when it's over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, it's better and more powerful when it's above that. Okay, so that's kind of what we got coming in on Monday. So we'll see. So I'll definitely be looking for that 10-minute uptrend, a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend that we left off with today on Monday morning. Okay? And I will be looking for no red candles, no spinning tops, no dojis. Okay? Nothing with more wick than body and tail. Okay? I want a nice green candle. Something like that would be fine. Another one of those stacked up right next to it would be beautiful. Okay, that's what I'll be looking for on Monday morning. Okay, something with a lot of tail, but not, I don't want anything with more wick than body and tail. Okay, because that shows me bearish control. Okay, if it's got a lot of tail and little body and wick, I'm fine with that. I just don't want more wick up top than body and tail, because that shows me bearish control. Red candles show me bearish control. Okay. So that's what I'll be looking for on Monday. So there's SPY. Obviously, it's in an uptrend. I just spelled it out for you. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, here's QQQ. And into the close. See the 10-minute uptrend? See the QQQ? Rip in the morning. Dip. Okay. Back to the uptrend line. Back up over VWAP, back up to attack the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line down there. Okay, so price action closing and consolidating on top of all-time high anchored VWAP. That's powerful up there. Closing at the high of the day at the end of the day is a very big tell, okay, for next week. Okay, so 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Nice tradable event right there. 2-hour chart. Got a 2-hour uptrend. Just now commencing. All right, on Friday evening. Right there. 2-hour uptrend. Commencing for next week. All right. Perfect timing. Okay. Daily chart. Still in an uptrend. Okay, see all the green dots. Still in an uptrend up there. Up at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish and still in an uptrend. Weekly chart. Okay, here's the low. See all the green dots? Weekly chart, bullish, still in an uptrend. Monthly chart, bullish and still in an uptrend right there. Okay, so there's QQQ. All right, now both of them had game plans today, and I'll take a peek at those. Okay, you can see price action. Okay, over the green line. Okay, so QQQ game plan was not as good, but I did say I'm going to be bullish over the pivot. Okay, above the pivot I'm a bull, below the pivot I'm a bear. Notice only a couple candles closed under the pivot, but they were very quickly bullish engulfed. Anything that closed was bullish engulfed almost immediately. See right here, closed underneath it, and then bullish engulfing the very next candle. So it voids it out. Another one, bullish engulf. If I go to the 10-minute chart, they'll probably all look like tails. See? Nothing but tails underneath here. Notice when you compress the price, it has a different look. There's no candles closing under there. You go to the 10-minute chart, compress the price, and then you got tail, 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 tail. And look, you almost got ascending tails right here. So you knew this was probably going to develop into a takeoff or a bust out to the upside. Okay, right there on that QQQ. Okay, take a look at SPY. SPY had a game plan as well. Again, you can see price action came down to the green erases red entry, okay, which is the green line. Again, over the pivot, I'm a bull. Below the pivot, I'm a bear. I say it every morning. All right. Here we are above the pivot. I'm a bull. I'm just looking for an uptrend to buy into. Higher low, that's perfect. I'll take it. Bought into that. Take it to the upside. Okay, so how did I make money today? Let's take a peek at it. Let's move up the options so you can see the option trading when I pull it up. Okay, about 17K on this one. Okay, so you can see right where I enter, right here. Okay, fan it out. Okay, you can see I'm looking at all the tails develop. So I start nibbling and selling off anything up here. See, we're up over the pivot, so I'm a buyer of calls. There's calls. So I start nibbling there and selling off into strength. So every candle that goes up on that option candle, I'm trying to sell the top of that option candle. Okay, still holding in there. Okay, we haven't broken down. We already hit. Guess what? Right after we hit, see this right here? Right after we hit gap fill, because that's a typical place for price to reverse. Look at me. I'm starting to buy, all right? Because I see price rip back up over the green erases red entry right up there. Okay, so I'm starting to buy. So I sell off into strength. See all the tops of all these candles? You can see several red dots up there. Those are sells. Okay, so I'm selling into strength up there. Same thing happened here on these calls. Okay, bought, sold into strength right here. Bought, sold right into strength right there. Those are puts. Here's some more calls. Okay, again, bought, sold into strength. Reload, sell into strength. Reload, sell into strength. Reload. And just I probably shorted them right there to get out with a profit right there. So some more calls, some 0 DTE 664 calls, bought the lows, sold the highs. 650 calls, 0 DTE, bought the low, sold into strength, bought the low, sold into strength right there. And these puts, I had to work my way out of it. I was upside down. So when price came down, I bought and sold into, well, that would be weakness, which becomes strength for the option candle because it's a put right there. And that's it for me for today right there on the QQQ. So let's go around the horn and look at everything else. And let's take a look at our technicals. All right, let me zoom way out here so you can see what's going on. All right, let's go take a look at daily chart. And let's take a look at IWM. All right, here's IWM today. Okay, notice we got kind of like an inverted sword there. That's more of a spinning top, but an inverted sword. Higher low, higher high. Okay, closing up over the bearish trap and over the 17 EMA. Okay, up here near the top of the quadrant 4, that's bullish. That's still in an uptrend. Nothing's broken yet. Okay, markets are still bullish. Okay, another one with a sword right here, or spinning top. Okay, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish cross and over the 17 EMA. Okay, up there at the top, this is quadrant 4, way up there, quadrant 4, bullish, still in an uptrend. Look, it's holding the higher ground. That's what we like. That's what we like to see. Okay, CIWM. Okay, not quite holding the higher ground. Not as defined as Diamond Dow. Okay, let's take a look at SPY. Okay, SPY, nice tight structure at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, bullish and still in an uptrend. QQQ. Okay, QQQ kind of looks like IWM. All right, let's take a look at FNGU. Okay, FNGU today got a higher low. $29.21. $29.21. Higher low equal high. Closing under a bearish trap, but over the 17 EMA. Okay, not quite what I wanted, but markets are still acting bullish, so I'll stick with it. But kind of wanted to see a little bit more mustard, a little bit more strength shown on FNGU. That's a big one, okay? Because wherever these go, they kind of jerk the market with them. I did not want to see that, but it is what it is. We're closed up over yesterday's spinning top, so I'll take it right there, FNGU. All right, let's take a look at gold. Gold, not a new all-time high, but up near the highs, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. Top of quadrant 4, see this? Top of quadrant 4, that's bullish and still in an uptrend. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, bullish and still in an uptrend up there. Silver makes a new 14-year high. Okay, right up there at the top, new 14-year high. That's bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, that's silver. Let's take a look at USO. All right, well, I'm gonna give it to USO. They're bullish now. Okay, they're up here in the upper third. Okay, didn't give it to them yesterday, but I'll give it to them today. Putting in that spike candle right up top there. So bullish and in an uptrend on USO finally. Okay. Question is, I don't know how long they'll hold it. Okay. The last time you can see they go up and they give it up. Okay. Here's the time before that. They go up and they give it up. Okay. It's important that they hold the upper third up here. Okay. We'll see if they get it. All right. They need to hold that upper third to stay bullish. All right. Right now, bullish and in an uptrend. Okay. In the lower third, you're bearish. In the upper third, you're bullish. I'm going to move this over. So this makes them bullish. Okay. So USO. So if they hold for 5 or 6 days, okay, that will interest me. Okay. Recently, they give it up after 5 or 6 days. Okay. So we'll see what happens. All right. We'll see what happens. USO. All right, let's take a look at UNG. UNG, this is an all-time low right here. If we zoom out, you can see The head and shoulders pattern, obviously. And then you've got quadrant 4 is way up here. Not a very big high bar to set because right there, that is just a 2-year high anchored VWAP right there. So you can see price action down here at the bottom of quadrant 1. That's bearish. And you're still in a downtrend, okay, because you haven't made any higher highs. So there's UNG, bearish. Excuse me, did I say bullish? Bearish and still in a downtrend. All right, so there's UNG. We did gold and silver. Let's take a look at our technicals to see what's going on. T2101, all right. Well, we're heading back in the same direction. Got a little higher than we were, so a little more participation today. Hopefully on Monday, that will be the tell. Again, I want to see more 15-minute candles above this group of candles right here on Monday. All right, I need to see that. All right, I need to see participation increasing. All right, so there's T2101. This is the market breadth. Okay, see where we're losing breadth. We come from a high spot into a low spot. Well, the last time we were in this low spot, this low, was the COVID dip. All right, that was the COVID dip right there. Okay, so, and that's where we reversed and did the COVID rally out of this location down here in this spot. Well, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully this is the low and we start getting more and more market participation. This is T2101, market breadth. Think of breadth as wind in your sails, all right? If you don't have wind in your sails, you don't have any momentum, all right? And consequently, you'll just stall in the middle of the lake or wherever you are sailing, okay? And you don't go anywhere, all right? So, or sometimes you get blown backwards, okay? So right now, getting more momentum picking up. I want to see that continue up to new highs again, T2101. T2122. Well, we went airborne, okay, from the oversold zone into, well, I'll tell you what, we almost knocked over the, the bears inside the overbought zone, okay? And then we wound up bouncing away and chomping around at the top of the buyer's chop zone, all right, all day long, all right? But I would much rather be up here than down here in the oversold zone. So this was a reversal area, and we did reverse, okay? But the point is we did not make a higher high, okay? We did make consolidation over prior consolidation. See, this is yesterday's. We are consolidating over yesterday's, and I'll take it up here in the buyer's chop zone, okay? I'd rather be on the bullish side of the midpoint than the bearish side. So this is good right there. Let's go see what T2123 says. Okay, little bit of consolidation, some over yesterday's, some right in line with it. Okay, this is the 200 SMA. This is the 15-minute chart. This is the rubber band candle. Notice we gapped down and the bulls failed to fill the gap. Notice today, okay, hate to be the bearer of bad news, we still failed to fill that gap, okay? The longer that gap stays open, the worse off it gets for us, okay? So there's T2123. Price action moved up and over to the right. That's a good sign right there. So you can see green from the beginning of the day almost to the end of the day right there, holding the higher ground over yesterday's close. So that part was good. That's kind of like a little bit of consolidation over prior consolidation. That's a good sign right there. T2123, okay? 3 more red candle bars. We're still up over the rising 200. That is the all-time high right up there. Okay, there's price action. This is the quadrant lines. There's the low. Okay, this is the prior all-time high right there. This is the new all-time high made earlier in September. Okay, so we're bullish and in an uptrend. In order for price to be in a downtrend, they'd have to come down here and take out these lows here In other words, make a lower low. All right. So that's T2123 3-bar chart. So we're still bullish. We're up at the top of quadrant 4. Remember, we're up and we're moving over to the right. So that's bullish and in an uptrend, right? Up there. FNGU. Curious what happened there. All right. Yesterday was the rubber band candle. We did not break the rubber band candle. But we did not make much strides in the other direction either. Okay? All in all, looks more like a bear flag moving over to the right. Okay, so notice just chomping around here, trying to find a good footing to throw the ball. And it doesn't look like they got much going on other than holding the ground where they are, right there. Okay, needed to see them back up over the 200 SMA. Maybe that happens Monday. We'll see. I do like what I see right here coming into the close. Price moving up and over to the right. Okay, so it's holding over a lot of this price action here. So that's a bull flag coming into the close. That does look promising right there. That does look promising right there. So we'll see what happens. All right. On the economic front, I just want to say that GDP yesterday was awesome. Okay. Jobless claims was awesome. Today, personal income and outlays was awesome. So the economic data is there. I'm just saying it. It's there. There's no reason to markets to fall apart over economic data. Okay. If there's some world events out there that I don't know about that are kind of brewing, maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe this is just profit taking. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But today was a really nice day. The big tell is going to be Monday at the close to see if capital gets injected into the market at the closing hour. All right. Fido says, checking back in. You guys have had a busy afternoon. Yep. Tex Platinum moving with silver and other, I think he meant metals, favorite metals right there. Okay. All right, that's it. Okay. Oh, I want to point out one other thing. All right, let's go take a look at it because we looked at it earlier today. And by the way, that gave me the courage to buy some SPY calls and some QQQ calls. Okay, I went to the 2-day chart, and remember I was pointing this out, the VZO, yesterday. Okay, and I said yesterday the VZO was not over the 9 EMA. Today, after the bullishness that we saw today, the green candle closed over the 9 EMA. So I've been watching. I watch a lot of different indicators and such, but when we close underneath the 9 EMA, we tend to get, you can see a pullback to the 8 or the 17. See right here, and then we pull back to the 8 or the 17. Okay, see right here and here, and then we pull back to the 8 right there. Okay, see right here, and we pull back to the 17 right here. See the red dot? Okay, this is a 2-day chart. I watched the VZO. All right, and you can see when that happens, we have pullbacks or dips in the market. All right, so the good news is this was underneath the 9 yesterday. All right, and today it's closing up over the 9 EMA. Okay, so there's the good news. And looking at that and the bullish close over the all-time high anchored VWAP gave me the courage to nibble on some calls for QQQ and SPY. Okay, again, there's still a lot of premium priced in. I'll be looking for better pricing on Monday. All right, everybody. You too, Judy. Have an awesome weekend. All right, traders, I will see you all on Monday. All right, 8 a.m. We'll do it again. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Y'all have an awesome weekend.